Live from Studio 550, it's the Martin Kilcoyne Show. Here's Martin Kilcoyne on KTRS.
It's not Martin, Scott Sherman. I don't know if it's as good. My mom thinks it's as good. Martin will be back Monday. His mom doesn't think it is good. But I'll tell you what's fantastic, our next guest. When I tell you exactly what this woman did to become a live studio guest here, you're going to fall in love with her the way that I and everyone that comes in contact with her has. She is Elizabeth Imus-Zero. She is the author of the new book, Etiquette for Idiots and Other Stupid Stories. Welcome to the Big 550, Elizabeth Imus-Zero.
Hey, baby. What's up?
That is why I fell in love with her. Because she's not only gorgeous, as you will see here on the McGraw TV people are in, but also fantastically humorous. And you want to talk about somebody who is just sort of spontaneous? Here's what this woman did, Elizabeth.
What did I do?
we book you for the show.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, cool. I'll promote my book.
I had to go to New York, so I was like, yeah, Missouri's like on the way.
Yeah, Missouri's on the way from California, so she flew specifically into St. Louis.
But here's the thing. I've never been to St. Louis, and so far, I love it, and I don't even want to go to New York. St. Louis is like, seriously, everybody here is so good looking and so nice.
And she doesn't want to steal our jobs?
No, I just want to hang out with you guys.
All right, this is so cool. All right, there's so many things to talk about. Yes, in the middle of that hyphenated last name is a really famous last name.
Yeah.
Imus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're on a radio set. We're in a radio studio.
Yeah.
You're no stranger to this.
No.
You grew up around this.
I did.
What was it like growing up being Don Imus's daughter?
Oh, it was awesome. I got to go to work with him when I was a little girl. So, like in the summer, especially, when I was out of school, I would go to work with him. And I lived with him when I was a teenager, so I hung out at the station all the time. And I knew Howard Stern. He would hang out near my dad's office, and it was just cool. It was really fun.
What is it about radio or about being in a radio studio that you really enjoy or you really like? What's really cool about being in a radio studio like you are now?
Well, the coolest thing is being on your show and being here with you guys.
This is Don Imus's daughter.
Seriously, you guys are so hot. I can't even like deal with it. You guys are amazing.
Josh just passed out.
Josh, I like your glasses, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, he was yelling at me earlier, Elizabeth.
And I like your glasses too.
Thank you. We discussed this earlier. Elizabeth Imus has written this book, and I want to talk about it in a little bit.
No, wait, I want to tell you about the radio thing.
Yeah,
Can
exactly.
Okay.
Tell me about the radio before Josh and
Oh, well, I'll just tell you really quick. What I really love about radio. I never thought about doing radio until like 2 years ago because it seemed ridiculous. Like, oh, my dad's like a big radio star. Like, that's lame. Like, I'm going to go do radio. But then I was thinking, well, how can I use all my talents as a writer and a producer and a performer and a host and a comedian? And my friend was like, you should be on the radio. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to try it. And I thought, who cares who my dad is? I'm going to just do it. So I went and like got licensed, did my FCC stuff. And
wait, you got to get a license to do this?
Well, you got to take a test. Did you not take? You didn't take a test.
What?
Don't
that's what they told me.
Please don't tell anyone here there's a test.
They told me I had to take a test, and I wasn't allowed to wear clothes. It was really weird. It's so
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding.
Is that right?
No, sorry.
That test.
That test.
I remember that.
I took that
Yes.
one. I passed.
But I also had to learn. I know how to work the board. I can board up. I can do a little
They're
engineering.
looking for board ops for the weekend.
Yes.
Always.
I'm totally available. I can totally help you guys out. No, so I did it, and I just, it feels like you're flying. It's so fun, and I love radio.
It's absolutely the most, I guess, organic kind of communication because there's nothing really scripted here. In fact,
Yeah.
it's best that we not talk. We talked last night.
I know.
I was honored enough that you and my buddy Mike, that your publicist, took me out to dinner, and
Yeah.
we're sitting there talking about all these things, and we're like, save it for the air,
I know.
But there's so many things about you that I want to get to.
Okay.
You're an author. You have written this book, and it's
Yeah.
very funny.
Thank you.
But you're also a comic. You've done improvisational comedy.
Yeah.
You were involved with two of the legendary things. Tell us about how you got started in comedy with the Groundlings and with the improv and your sort of your roots as a comedian.
Well, I got started in comedy when I was like a little kid, and my dad and my mom would just let us perform and do shows for them in our living room, and so that was really my first audience. And and my first hecklers.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
I have them
it was good.
still.
It was good training to have Don Imus as your heckler.
Well, so what's Don Imus heckling? He's that stinks, Elizabeth. That's
Yeah,
terrible.
it's exactly.
What kind of crap is that?
Yeah, it's not. It's
You
not
can't
funny.
use my name.
So yeah, so I've always it's just like in your blood. When you have a desire to be creative, that passion never goes away, no matter how old you get. So
you get into the groundlings, which is
Yeah.
not easy to do. Tell people that aren't that familiar with improvisational comedy. This is like Second City stuff. This is where the Saturday Night
Yeah.
Live people come from. How'd you get into that, and who are some of the people that you came into contact with and worked with?
Sure. Well, the way you start is you audition, and then you start going through their school and their program, and they teach you. And the teachers are working actors and very successful people. And I went through the groundlings. I graduated with Maya Rudolph from Saturday Night Live, and
Yeah.
and
Heard of
I used
her.
to sit in Melissa McCarthy's living room and we'd write sketch comedy in her crummy apartment back before she was anyone. And
Heard of her.
yeah, and Wendy McLendon Covey from Bridesmaids and Reno 911. We actually wrote a very successful all-female sketch comedy show 13 years ago called We're Blonde and Pretty, What Happened to You? And that went all the way to the comedy room when Mitzi Shore was like, you girls are funny. And so, so these women, while I was doing that, I was also raising children. I have 2 adult children. So then all these girls were single. So they kind of went on to like huge stardom, and I went to the grocery store. And then, and now I'm just kind of coming back to it after the last couple of years. I've been putting myself out there. I wrote a book, and I'm becoming involved in a little bit of politics as well, and standing up for some freedom and liberty.
Those are good
country.
things. Elizabeth Imus-Zero is our guest. You mentioned your book.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Etiquette for Idiots and Other Stupid Stories. It's a great title.
Thank
Where did you come up with the idea for sort of attacking the PC of proper manners and write a book about this?
Well, I love to cook, and I love to throw dinner parties because I like to show off and get attention. And
What?
So, yeah, I know.
You
it's
didn't
weird.
get any attention when you walked by and everybody was staring at you.
You didn't even turn around, Scott. You didn't look at me. I was making googly eyes.
I was
know.
busy studying for my FCC test during the commercial
Could
break.
you unbutton a few buttons of your shirt? So anyhow.
Mine?
Yeah. Anyway. So I, wrote. I had a dinner party, and this horrible guest showed up, and it was atrocious. And I just said, I'm never, ever, ever cooking dinner or having anyone to my house who I don't personally know again. And so I wrote a few rules down, and it was a big hit. I put it on Facebook, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're hilarious." So I included it in my blog on my website, which is elizabethzero.com. That's also where you can buy my book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And so and then I just started blossoming, and I started writing etiquette for like sociopaths and etiquette for like dead people and etiquette. Like if you're gonna die, don't tell if you know you're gonna die in 6 months, like wait 2 weeks before your due date. Like don't bum us all out, way in advance. So just ridiculous.
Don't ruin
stuff.
my month.
Don't.
Come on, you are. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, make
Can't
arrangements.
save
Don't
you.
make your family hold a car wash, to pay for your funeral. Like figure it out ahead of time. It's your deal.
All right, and so the dinner party thing. So the guy
Yeah.
comes over. So give us a few tips from the book
Mm-hmm.
about what it is that people that are throwing dinner parties or that are dinner party guests or
Mhm.
that are using the bathroom maybe in their
Right.
friend's house. Some tips so that people can, maybe not be so obnoxious
Okay,
and ridiculous.
Well, if you say you're going to bring the wine, don't bring 1 bottle and drink 4. Bring the amount of wine you're going to drink plus 2 bottles for me. That would be if you spill something on my carpet, don't freak out and apologize like 50 million times. Just get a rag and clean it up and then leave some money in a drawer to pay for what you did. Don't ask me, "Oh, let me pay for it," because I'll say no. That's the polite thing to do. But just leave the money anyway because that's more polite. And then email me later, say thank you. By the way, there's $100 in your,
And I love your hug rule because
Yeah,
I've gotten
yeah.
3 or 4 hugs from you, but because I read your book,
Mm-hmm.
Etiquette for Idiots and Other Stupid Stories, I'm a little wary about giving you too many hugs. Why don't you tell us your theory about hugs?
Well,
and
it's
when's too
mostly
many?
like I don't like when people who are like I don't like drunks. I don't like to be around drunks. So don't overly hug me. Don't tell me you love me like 50 times if you just met me, and don't kiss me on the lips if they're like wet and you're not married to me. But mostly like, you get 2 hugs, like one when you come and one when you go. You don't need to like keep touching me. But see, I can hug you, and that's because I want to. I'm just
Yes, and
Yeah.
you still want to hug me even though
Yeah.
We've met?
Sure.
I love hugging
Why
you.
not?
Oh, you're a fantastic hugger.
You're a hot Jewish
Okay.
guy. Who wouldn't want to hug you?
I am. Well, Josh is going to break this interlude up. You going to throw a wet blanket on this, Mike?
No, it's getting a little too hot in here.
Oh, yeah,
You too.
FCC. Sorry.
Yeah,
Gotta
exactly.
Cool it off a bit.
Okay.
So, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do something really exciting. We're going to take a little break. That's not that exciting. This is for our sponsors. But when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about your life.
Okay.
Talk a little bit more about being a mom that sort of gave up her career, but then did the whole natural thing, and you came back like Roy Hobbs, bigger and better than ever. And then we're going to talk
I love being
about
compared to Roy.
I want to. Yes.
It's never happened before. It's not a real person. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what you've got going on and why you're going to New York and just sort of the ins and outs of being the second most famous
Imus.
I mean, is it
Imus?
okay?
Yeah.
They're Imus
Cool.
people. My mom's an Imus person.
Isn't famous
hi.
Imus? Don't they make cookies?
Famous Imus?
Yeah.
Yes, that's.
Hi, Scott's mom.
She's on her way here.
I want
She
to
would
hear
love to
more
hug you.
etiquette things.
I want to hear more etiquette things, and I want to hear some stupid stories. There's all kinds of stuff. With our very special guest in studio, special to St. Louis, Elizabeth Imus-Zero. We'll be right back with more Martin Kilcoyne Show on the Big 550 KTRS. Welcome back. Scott Sherman here with Elizabeth Imus-Zero. I'm dropping the zero just because I want you to be divorced so we can run away together.
You know what, though? I told Mr. Zero, I was like, hey, baby, if it doesn't work out, like, I'm keeping the name because this is my second marriage, and I'm like, it's so hard to change your passport and your driver's license. And
it is a pain.
And also, like, when I'm on stage, I do a lot of hosting and live events and stuff like that, so I'm like, hey, I'm Elizabeth Zero, because when you say I'm a zero, it sounds like you're saying
you're a zero, but
zero.
you're not. You're a hero. All right.
Thank you.
This song, ladies and gentlemen, my very good friend Mike Bojo is the manager of the band. He's also involved with doing some promotion for Elizabeth.
Yeah.
This is The Rush from Golden State. They were here in Martin's studio about 6 months ago, and they're blowing up. This is, if you know this, from Deadliest Catch, the reality TV show. It's played in the season finale of that. You can catch that on their new CD, LP, whatever they call it, and they will be, when they come back to St. Louis, and we will get them back.
Oh, man,
play back
Golden
in
State is one of my favorite bands. They're unbelievable.
They are very
And they're
good.
really nice guys. They're really healthy, like healthy living, cool guys, too.
And you looked at me like I'm not, but they are.
No, I didn't.
I know.
I'm ogling you.
This is making me very uncomfortable. So uncomfortable, we're going to go right back to our interview. All right, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Hey, when you're writing this book,
Yeah.
I read a chapter called Inbred Neighbors. And you're laughing because I laughed out loud.
Yeah.
First of all, tell us a little bit about what bothers you about inbred neighbors, and then the St. Louis people are going to, I guess, bestow upon you the local verbiage for the inbred neighbor. So please explain your version of inbred neighbor.
Oh, sure. Well, no, I had these neighbors who lived next door to me, and they're gone now, thank God. But they were married, and they're cousins.
How many? Which degree? Does that matter?
First cousins.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so I met her, and she they have a daughter, and they're like, the daughter's like, I'm trying to talk to the mom, and she's like, did you know my parents are cousins? Did you know my parents are cousins? Did you know my parents are cousins? I'm like, cool. And the mom's totally ignoring her. Well, then one day I'm doing some gardening outside of my exclusive beachfront community home.
Rub it in.
Yeah, whatever. No, and then and all of a sudden there's like a camera crew like standing there, and they're standing there and they're like, hey, do you want to be on our reality TV show called I Married My Cousin? Oh, did you know we were cousins? I'm like, yeah, I know we're cousins because your kid told me that like 20 times the other day. And so they asked us, they're like, well, what do you think, like, what's it like living next door to married cousins? And Mr. Zero was like, well, as long as they don't leave their couch on their front porch or park their car in their front yard, it's cool. And I'm like, well, they can't be that bad because their kid's not a mongoloid. And at that point, she's like, cut.
Oh, my goodness.
And
This
she's
is
like,
in the show?
yeah. So she takes me aside. She's like, we're not mentioning we have a daughter because we don't want her
Oh.
to be raised in Hollywood. And I'm like, lady, raising your kid in Hollywood would be the most normal thing you could do at this point because you're weird. You're a cousin.
We wouldn't want anybody to get the wrong idea that cousins being married was weird. We wouldn't want it to be weird by having
Is
a
that
kid.
even legal?
Oh, is it not weird in Missouri? Is that?
Well, here's the thing. There's an entirety.
I'm sorry. I meant, yeah, that's cool.
There's an entirety of
I'm all for that.
behavior that goes on in various parts of this region
Really?
that the people that are either not from here, like myself, or people that did grow up here, like Mr. Dowd, and I guess Mr. Gilbert, would be completely just, I guess, disturbed and outraged by these people. They're not rednecks, because redneck can be cool.
Okay,
'cause it
wait.
can be-
I want
it's
to
not
know what
country.
is the disturbing part. I want to hear.
Well,
like,
there's a lot of meth. There's a lot of
Oh.
screaming at Walmart.
Hey,
Beating children for no reason. There's a lot of bad tattoos.
oh, that's
If
not
you go to
good.
Six Flags, you can see a lot of it. There's kids with earrings that are like 6 months old. There's a lot
Oh.
of really horrible behavior, and we're going to bestow upon you, on behalf of the people of St. Louis, a new term that maybe you could use on your book tour or somewhere else.
Okay.
Hoosier. Now,
Hoosier?
don't use it in Indiana because it's a term of endearment. But Hoosier
Yeah.
encompasses all of this rednecky, kind of inbred, real, just kind of trucks up on blocks and people beating children behavior.
You know, actually, I love those people though. God bless them.
well, not the people beating their children.
That's right. We don't want to do that.
Sometimes you have bad kids, and sometimes they need a spanking. I'm just saying.
Well, speaking of beating children, tell about growing up. All right. You grow up in New York.
Wait a minute. Aren't we going to give some of my books away?
We're
Daniel?
absolutely going to give. We're
Yeah.
not only going to give some of them away, we're going to give 5 of them away. And
What?
we're going to do it in our next hour
Oh,
to
okay.
all 5 of the people that we're going to do in our Does Colin Know It, the news guy behind you.
Oh.
We're going to play a trivia game, and everybody
Yeah.
that participates is going to get Elizabeth's new book.
Oh, right on. Cool.
Yeah.
And if you don't win, don't feel bad because you can go to elizabethzero.com and you can get it. You can click on the Amazon link. So you're cool.
Very cool. Okay, so tell us a story about you grow up, and you're a famous kid because
Yeah.
your dad's a big deal. You're growing up in New York. And tell me a story about what it's like growing up in the Imus household as a young girl.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that it was any different, but it is really strange being the child of a celebrity because people are always looking at you when you go out in public, and you don't.
That's not why they're looking at you, by the way.
No. they're looking at me now because I have a push-up bra on. Excuse me, but and I know that, and I'm working it. But
That's why Josh is looking at you.
Thank you, Josh. But when you're a child and you grow up with that sort of mentality, you're sort of like, it kind of messes with your head a little bit. And it took me a while to kind of go, oh, I'm not really that special. It's just like my dad's famous. And you sort of, I don't know, you kind of figure it out, but it's your normal kind of thing. But my parents were actually really cool. They rode motorcycles and they would pick us up from school after school on the motorcycles. And they did a lot of fun stuff with us. And it was fun because my dad was really outspoken and kind of wild.
Oh, I'll say.
Yeah. And I loved it. My dad just told people off. But the bad thing about it is like I would go to school and just like tell my teacher off or like tell people off. And it's like, oh, well, nobody's paying me $1 million to be obnoxious and funny. I need to like put a lid on it. So
Did your dad have a different persona or personality on the mic as opposed to off the mic? A lot of people, they sort of play out a character.
Does
or
he talk like that at home?
no,
Come
my
in
dad
the
is.
room, Elizabeth.
Yeah, no, that's who my dad is on the air is like exactly who he is in real life. Only he's actually more extroverted on the air than he is in real life. He's a lot more introverted one-on-one, but he's the exact same person. Like he's the real deal. And I'll have to say, I have so much love and respect for my father. He's not like the perfect dad, but he does what he says he's going to do, and he has character and integrity, and I respect that.
Well, let me tell you, not only do you respect it, but my mom loves your dad. In fact, I'll tell a little quick story about my mom who's coming in town. Maybe she can hear this. I hope so.
Yeah.
She loved your dad so much that she started about 15 years ago to start buying Southwestern furniture and collecting artwork. And I'm like,
Because of the ranch.
you live in Detroit. What is all that? And then she went on a trip with her friend to Santa Fe, New Mexico because of your dad's ranch. And I'm like, you're in love with Don Imus. What are you doing? Every time I would visit, there was some iguana or something that she had
A new addition.
purchased.
That's
So
awesome.
she
I
did.
love your mother.
And she loves the work that your dad does. We joke about
Yeah.
your dad. Your dad does amazing work with kids that have cancer.
Yeah, the Imus Ranch in Ribera, New Mexico.
And there's been, just yesterday, this station did a fundraising marathon for cancer research. So your dad's
Nice.
done a lot of cool things. All right,
Yeah.
enough about
No,
about
but I
him
have to tell
already.
you about your mom's decor. Like,
Yes.
I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, and then in New York City in my teen years. But there was always like a picture like on like velvet with like a Indian crying, and like there's like a saddle.
Don
in the-
Imus had a velvet Indian picture.
Don Imus is a Hoosier.
No, and there's like a saddle with like boots, like decor, like ropes, and like it was totally like cowboy. I was just like, my dad had like hundreds of like he's really a cowboy. He rode a horse before he could ever walk. So
Wait a second.
yeah, he's a real
That's
deal.
dangerous.
Yeah, my grandfather, his dad was like a rancher who brought like the Brahma bull to North America. So it's like a
So it's not a put on. It's not. He's a real cowboy.
no, and
My
I like
dad, my dad would love your dad.
yeah.
My dad, when I was visiting, and I visited here, my parents got divorced because of the following story. When I was young, my dad had me ride a horse, and I'm not kidding, from his house, which is not far from the station, down a real street to a McDonald's. I rode a miniature horse, which then threw me into an apple tree. I will never get on another horse, ever.
Well,
But
you
he would
say
love
that
your
now,
dad.
but maybe how about an electronic bull? Would
You could
do that?
probably coax me into doing
maybe
something
tonight
like
we can find out. Are there any bulls?
that.
electronic
Mr.
bulls?
Zero is going to start talking when we put this on the internet. All right. So now
Yeah.
you're out in L.A.
Uh-huh.
You're back in the comedy world.
Yeah.
You got these kids that are grown up and
Yeah.
doing great things. How excited are you to sort of be back in the game doing what really is your real passion professionally, and that's entertaining people?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been working as a writer and a producer behind the scenes, working in the DVD industry and writing special features. And now, in case anybody doesn't know what DVDs are,
No, we never. What is that?
yeah, they're like little round discs your parents used to watch pornos on. Anyway, so they don't.
My
they
mom
don't
was
exist
buying
anymore.
Santa Fe blankets.
Yeah, right.
She missed that. I
I'm
think.
sorry. So,
Josh's parents might have done
yeah,
this.
Josh looks like a
There's a story about them.
crazy
They-
cat.
They,
Josh,
they listen to Bob Seger albums.
nice.
Yes.
CDs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, wait, what was the question?
About getting back in the game.
Oh,
and
yeah.
being back entertaining people.
Well, I honestly decided to put myself in front of the camera and on radio, not only because I wanted to follow my passion in writing and comedy and have a place to express my views, but I'm particularly interested in standing up and speaking about freedom and holding our government accountable. There's just a lot of corruption, both on the left and the right side, and I'm a libertarian. And I'd like to promote that, and I'd like to do it. I don't want to nail people on the head with a bunch of facts, but if you go on my website, elizabethzero.com, my latest blog I just posted yesterday.
I've got it right here.
Talks all about the Federal Reserve, and in kind of a fun, sexy, fun way. That
Because
makes
it is sexy. The
yeah,
Fed.
and honestly, like there's so much information out there that we're not getting, and it's like you just kind of need to simplify it for people, make it fun and accessible and easy to understand, and then vote for people who are honest, like and want to hold. There's no perfect solution, but we do need to compromise and we need to come together. So
I agree wholeheartedly. I cannot stand people that will label themselves some kind of liberal or conservative, and then they immediately trample on whatever they profess to be when it becomes uncomfortable for them.
yeah,
Plus, you're educating people about issues that are affecting everybody's lives.
Yeah.
And there's no better libertarian than Flavor Flav, who you will be hanging out with
oh
soon.
man, Flavor Flav.
How did you get hooked up with Public Enemy?
Well, I do some events and I work with this company called organization called Free and Equal, and you can find their website at freeandequal.org. And they're hosting an event at UCLA October 12th, or I think it's October 12th, excuse me if I don't know. But you can find out on freeandequal.org. And Gary Johnson's going to be speaking, Jill Stein. But the bands that are headlining is Public Enemy, which it's like one of my favorite.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Chuck
I'm a
D.
huge hip hop fan, and Golden State is going to be there, which you just heard, who are awesome, and also the band Saving Abel. So, and my new hip hop artist Kelly Mays, and her name's Kellee Mays, like corn. She's an amazing.
Well, this is a
hip-hop
huge
artist.
hip hop audience. They
Yeah.
love hip hop.
Do they?
Oh yeah. They'll love
Well,
her.
she's a hip hop artist, and she raps about like spirituality and like getting into the meditative mode and like being cool and like spreading truth and freedom. Which
Why
I love.
not?
Yeah, who does that?
And we got to sell books for you because this is
Yeah.
funny and interesting. This is sort of based in two books rolled into one. There's the Etiquette for Idiots part. There's the sort of autobiography part.
Yeah.
The stories is stupid stories part.
Yeah.
And you're wide open, and there's nothing off limits, which is, to me, the greatest thing about comics. And when I get an opportunity to talk to comedians, and you're a comedian, you may not be a stand-up, but come on, Melissa McCarthy and
Yeah.
Maya Rudolph.
No, I did
these are
stand up for a long time.
art and a stand-up.
Yeah.
You, as a comic, you are really the what I call the foot soldiers of the First Amendment.
Oh, thank you.
Really have the ability to go out and talk about issues in a way that not only will educate people, but can push the envelope as comfortable as you are. And I think it's really important stuff. And this is a great book.
Thank
Etiquette
you.
for Idiots. Tell everybody how they can get it.
Well, you can go to Elizabeth Zero, and that's Zero, and that's my real last name, elizabethzero.com, and there's all kinds of fun things. There's lots of pictures of me and blurbs from Geraldo and Ann Coulter and all these groovy people who I love. And
that's where you're headed to New York to go.
Yeah, I'm going to New York next week, tomorrow, actually.
And you know what? I'm sad now. You know why?
Why?
Because you're going to be leaving soon.
Well, why don't you come with us?
Wow, I might have to take that up, but you're not going to be leaving us soon. You're going to stick
Okay.
around because we're going to bring food in. Let's take a break, Josh, and go to the Golden Oak Lending Traffic Center. Did I get that one?